It was the hottest summer in years. The air was thick, heavy, unbreathable. 8 million people were trying to sleep, trying to escape the heat, trying to forget that their city was falling apart. And then, the lights went out. All of them. From the Bronx to Brooklyn, from Harlem to Wall Street, in an instant, the largest city in America disappeared.
I got me a stereo, clothes, a bicycle, a bracelet. I got over a lot of things.
To understand the scream, you have to understand the city New York was in 1977. It was a powder keg. The heat was only the start. The streets were filthy. Crime was at an all-time high. And the city itself was bankrupt. President Ford had essentially told the city to drop dead. A serial killer known as Son of Sam held the city in the grip of paralyzing fear. No one felt safe. In neighborhoods like the South Bronx, unemployment was rampant. The city had neglected its people for years, allowing neighborhoods to rot. The social conditions were desperate. The anger was simmering. All it needed was a spark. That spark came from the heavens. 4 separate lightning strikes north of the city knocked out vital Con Edison power lines. Engineers in the control room watched their grid bleed out, unable to redistribute the load. In less than an hour, the system collapsed. The lights died. The darkness hit hardest underground. Thousands of commuters were trapped in stifling subway tunnels. The MTA successfully evacuated 400 trains without fatalities. But the panic was immense. Out in the street, New Yorkers faced a choice. The first few moments defined the whole night. Volunteers bravely tried to direct traffic, remembering the resilience of '65. But something had shifted in the city's soul. When the lights went out in '65, strangers became friends. When they went out in '77, people saw only shadows. Within minutes of the blackout, it began, not slowly, not cautiously, instantly. Looters flooded into the streets, smashing windows, sawing through padlocks, prying open steel shutters with crowbars. In Bushwick, Brooklyn, the main commercial strip, Broadway, was overrun. People throwing garbage cans through storefronts. Entire families walking out with refrigerators, televisions, furniture. Stores that had survived for generations, gone in hours. In Harlem, it was the same. In the South Bronx, the same. In East New York, the same. By midnight, over 1,000 stores had been looted. And then came the fires. Over 1,000 fires burning across the city. The fire department, already gutted by budget cuts, faced an impossible task. Stations were closed, trucks were gone, crews were smaller than ever. Firefighters raced from block to block, trying to contain the blazes, but there weren't enough of them. Bushwick burned. The South Bronx burned, and they could only watch some of it burn. The police were no better off. After the lights went out, the order went out. Officers, respond to your nearest precinct. But many cops lived outside the city. In New Jersey, Westchester, Long Island. The nearest precincts weren't in Bushwick, weren't in the South Bronx, weren't where the looting was happening. And those who did make it found themselves outnumbered. One officer later said, "We ran out of handcuffs. We ran out of space in patrol cars. We started putting looters in trunks." The station house was packed. People handcuffed to radiators, to desks, to each other. We couldn't process them fast enough. 4,000 arrests were made that night. And still, the looting continued. Because for every person arrested, 50 more walked free, carrying stolen goods through the darkness, through a city that had lost control. When the lights went out, life didn't stop. It just became unmanageable. For the NYPD, the night was a nightmare. With thousands of officers already laid off, the department was running on fumes. Morale was low, resources were scarce, and the streets were out of control. Lawrence Bailey, the man who remembered 1965 so fondly, stayed home that night in Fresh Meadows, Queens. The neighborhood was tense. No one helped. No one asked if anyone needed anything. His mother, still in Harlem, called him the next morning. She told him stores on her block had been destroyed. The neighborhood she'd lived in for decades was gone. At the New York Times, reporters worked by candlelight, and the paper was printed on a borrowed press in New Jersey. By dawn, the looting had slowed, but the damage was everywhere.
It was terrible. I could see from my window there, everybody looting, taking furniture, everything.
The criminal justice system collapsed. 4,000 arrests in one night. The courts couldn't handle it. The jails couldn't handle it. The system couldn't handle it. Many looters were never prosecuted. There simply wasn't room, wasn't time, wasn't capacity. One high-ranking police official, speaking anonymously, said this: "The blackout was insignificant. It was simply the triggering incident. The conditions that drove people to loot were always there. We have a lot of people, unemployed or underemployed, inadequately housed. In the winter, they're indoors watching television. In the summer, they're in the streets. We have created a large class of poor, disaffected people with nowhere to go." New York is slipping and sliding downward, slowly, a kind of slow drift as we become inured to this invisible cancer. Letters poured into the New York Times. One woman wrote, "I want to express my rage." The complete lack of protection of people's property was outrageous. Where was the National Guard? Hard-working, innocent store owners were ruined. These people pay taxes. These people are law-abiding. Where was the protection they deserved? Another letter from a professor at Cornell was blunt. New York lacks urbanity. Those who run it, from high to low, haven't the easy competence of the professional. Let the word be uttered at last. New York is Bush. The anger was real. The fear was real. And someone was paying attention. On the evening of July 14th, almost 25 hours after the blackout began, the lights came back on, slowly, block by block. Con Edison struggled to restore power. Circuit breakers had to be reset manually. Mayor Beam accused Con Edison of gross negligence. Con Ed blamed the outage principally on an act of God. It took far longer than 1965, and when the sun rose on July 15th, New Yorkers saw what had been done to their city. Broadway in Bushwick, a thriving commercial strip, was a wasteland. Storefronts gutted, buildings burned, glass covering the sidewalks. For many store owners, there was no insurance, no way to rebuild. Broadway would remain largely abandoned for years. But amid the wreckage, something else was happening. A political transformation. Ed Koch, a longtime progressive congressman, was running for mayor. He was a long-shot candidate. But after the blackout, Koch saw an opportunity. He refashioned himself as the law and order candidate. He spoke about fear, safety, about taking back the streets, and it worked. Months later, Ed Koch won the election. The blackout didn't just destroy stores, it elected a new mayor. The fear and outrage that spread across the city after July 13th changed the political landscape of New York forever.
All the services had deteriorated. The subways were filled with graffiti, crime. Police, fire, sanitation, education, social services had all been decimated.
New York survived. It always does. But the belief that the city could weather anything with grace was gone. The night of July 1977 proved something painful. That a city is only as strong as the people it takes care of. And when those people are forgotten, the darkness comes from within. History doesn't repeat, but it leaves warnings. But for all the fear, all the fire, and all the division, there was one unexpected silver lining. One human consequence of the darkness that proves the true resilience of New York. Cultural legend has it that 9 months later, in April 1978, the city saw a massive surge in births, a blackout baby boom. They say the birth rate shot up by as much as 35%. Even in the deepest darkness and the most intense chaos, New York found a way to create life. 25 hours of darkness, 1,000 plus fires, 1,000 plus stores looted, 4,000 arrests, a city changed forever.